Hello. In this video I'll be going through a patch called Gentle Sway from the Moog Subharmonicon and Mother-32 Exploration Patchbook. These videos are intended for people who already have these synths but are having trouble with the patches or want to understand them a little better. I guess if you don't own these synths, it could be worth watching as well to get an idea of what they can do, but it might be a bit boring. Anyway, I plan to do videos and walkthroughs for all 5 of these patches in the coming weeks, so if you like this one, please take a look for the others. Thanks. All right, we'll start by just getting all the knobs in the right position, so just copy the patch sheet. Okay, time to start patching. First, you got to sync the 2 synths. There's a bunch of ways to do this, but for this patch they've decided to use the Mother as the master clock and are using the gate out as the clock source for the Subharmonicon. Pretty cool idea. This means the Subharmonicon's clock will advance with the gate instead of the clock signals from the Mother-32. So patch the gate out of the Mother-32 into the clock input on the Subharmonicon. Push play on both sequencers. Now the Mother-32 sequencer will be the master play button. And yep, everything's working so far. So now the play button on the Mother-32 will start and stop both sequencers. All 5 of the patches in this book use the assign out of the Mother as a random CV out. Hold reset, shift, sequence, and step 8 simultaneously. Make sure you're on page 1. Then hit step 8 to activate random CV out. Let's get our modulation set up. So we're going to patch the random CV out, so the assign out of the Mother into the mult. A copy of the random CV is sent directly from the mult to modulate the cutoff on the Mother-32. So let's patch that up. Yeah, so we've got the assign out modulating the cutoff. Another copy of the random CV is sent to the VC mix control knob, so it will modulate our attenuator. The cutoff of the Subharmonicon is in a way also going to be modulated by the random CV. The random CV is modulating the amount of filter modulation by modulating the position of the mix knob. If nothing is patched into one of the inputs of the mixer, it just acts like an attenuator. This is one of my favorite parts of this patch. More on it later, but the VCA EG out of the Subharmonicon is patched to the mix input of the Mother-32. So, back to our attenuator and random CV. Random CV is modulating the amount of VCA EG that will be modulating the Subharmonicon filter. Okay, now out of the attenuator or VC mix to cutoff of the Subharmonicon. Oops, I had that patch wrong, need better glasses. Mixed up the VCA EG out and the cutoff. Now we're good. Okay, let's get some more filter modulation happening. We're going to take the Subharmonicon Sequence 1 CV and use it to modulate the filter resonance on Mother-32. The pulse width of the oscillator 1 on the Subharmonicon is going to be modulated by the triangle LFO on the Mother. The Mother's oscillator pulse width is already being modulated by the LFO. We set that up internally while setting the knob positions. Sequencer 1 rhythm is going to be modulated by the KB CV out of the Mother. Once again, more on this later, but it simply means the pitch played by the Mother is going to modulate the sequencer's rhythm. Another cool idea. Okay, KB CV out to sequencer 1. So let's set up rhythm modulation for sequencer 2. For this, Moog decided, or whoever made this patch decided to use the square LFO of the Mother to modulate rhythm 2. All right, That's it, patch complete. Let's try it out. Make sure the Subharmonicon play button is still activated, then start the Mother sequencer, and let's see what this patch sounds like. Nice, I like this one. Let's speed up the sequence. Okay, let's program a sequence into the Mother. In the notes it says to create a sequence with fourths, fifths, and octaves, all perfect intervals. Makes sense because it sort of sounded like that subharmonic sequence we just heard was all in fourths. With C as the root, it sounded like we're getting a minor 11 sound, so let's stick with that for now, just programming in fourths and fifths and octaves. All right, I really like this patch, it's pretty cool, but I think some effects will really make it come alive. Okay, so I'm going to try out these Moogerfooger plugins again. I'm using the Clusterflux as a chorus and the delay on the Subharmonicon, and using the envelope follower of the filter plugin to modulate the feedback amount on the Clusterflux. Internal sidechain routing is super easy with these plugins. I did a video about that earlier. I'm also going to use my Eventide H9 for some reverb. And I'm going to change up my sequence a bit. All right, let's turn down the Subharmonicon so we can hear the sequence I programmed on the Mother. The rests and dynamic changes are a result of the random CV modulating the filter. Really like this sound. By pressing the forward and back buttons simultaneously and hitting 1 to 4, we can change the play order. This is a pendulum now. And random. I think I like forward best. Okay, let's play with some of the parameters. I think I'll add a bit more resonance and play around with the envelopes a bit on the Subharmonicon. Nice. Easy to get lost and lose hours at a time with these patches. Just subtle movements make a big difference. A lot of fun just turning knobs and seeing what happens. If I want a more predictable and less random rhythm from the Subharmonicon sequencers, I could use generators 3 or 4, which aren't being modulated. Okay, just gonna experiment a little bit. Okay, Synth Geek time. Let's take a closer look at what's going on so we can perform this patch better. I'm going to keep the effects turned off for this portion of the video so that we can clearly hear what's going on with the synth. I really like this one. There's a bunch of cool ideas that can be explored and used in other patches. I've also got some ideas on how to expand it a little bit with some external modules. But let's start at the beginning. I'll mute the mother and let's have a listen to what the Subharmonicon is actually doing. Okay, I'm going to turn down the second oscillator and sub-oscillators so we can hear what oscillator 1 is actually playing. Alright, sounds like oscillator 1 is playing F, then F up the octave, back to the first F, and then a D. Okay, sub-oscillator 1 sounds like it's tuned down a fifth, and yeah, it's playing B flat up an octave, then B flat, then a G. And sub-oscillator 2, just an octave below the primary oscillator. So if I put all those notes together, oscillator 1 is playing a B flat 6 or G minor 7 chord. Let's do the same thing with oscillator 2 and its sub-oscillators. Alright, sounds like D, A, D, and G. Then a third down. B flat, F, B flat, and E flat. And doubling the octave. So even though all these notes will never play at the exact same time, if we add them all together, we get B flat, D, E flat, F, G, and A. That's pretty close to a B flat major or G Aeolian scale. Okay, let's change up our sequence. I'm just going to initialize this and put it to one note for now. If we kept C in the bass, we would have a C minor or Dorian sound. But let's go with B flat. I get a major sound. Hit a G, we're going to get a G Aeolian. Sounds good. E flat gives us a Lydian sound, also sounds pretty cool. F kind of works, a little bit of a crunch there. Let's just go back to B flat for now. Okay, I'll make a sequence using B flat, E flat, and G now. I mentioned the Subharmonicon is clocked by the gate out of the Mother. That means if we put rests in our sequence, the Subharmonicon will not advance. Okay, that might be something worth experimenting with, but with the filter modulation on the Mother, I think I prefer no rests in the sequence. Let's see how the LFO is modulating the rhythm of the Subharmonicon sequence 2. The LFO, of course, is also modulating the pulse width of the Mother and Subharmonicon oscillator 1. Definitely getting more movement from the sequence as I turn it up. Okay, let's listen to rhythm in sequence 1. This is being modulated by the pitch CV from the Mother sequence. So, making another sequence here. And if I make a sequence with giant intervallic leaps, like octaves and octaves apart, it will affect the rhythm more drastically. Definitely moving the sequence along faster. Let's try it in an octave lower. Definitely more variation. That's pretty cool, actually. It gives me an idea I want to try out later. Okay, I want to have a listen to the modulation now. Let's unplug the random CV from the attenuator mix control and turn the VC mix all the way up so we can hear how the VCA EG is modulating the Subharmonicon filter. Actually, let's have a look first at the CV from the assign out and see how it's affecting the Mother. Okay, so the scope is showing us our random CV from the assign out. And we can listen and see how it's affecting. It's pretty obvious how it's affecting the cutoff of the Mother. Okay, I'll plug the random CV back into the mix control. Let's have a listen to the Subharmonicon. Pretty cool. That extra bit of filter modulation really adds something. Let's have a listen. With this weirdo intervallic sequence from the Mother, it'd be pretty cool if we had another voltage-controlled mixer, or VCA of course, to patch the noise of the Mother-32 into the external input and have the noise level be modulated by the KB-CV as well. Could get some pretty cool percussive sounds. Anyway, something to try another time. Okay, I'm going to detach the VCA EG out. Now we can really hear how much that extra filter modulation was doing. Okay, I'm going to plug it back in and turn the VC mix all the way up so we can clearly hear the modulation. Okay, I'm going to unplug this mult, go into my scope, and let's have a look at the VCA EG random CV modulation of the filter in the scope. Once again, this is a super cool idea, a good way around only having a single trigger input for both VCF and VCA on the Subharmonicon. We can get more complicated envelope sounds by tricks like this. I wish the Subharmonicon had voltage-controlled envelopes. I did do a video earlier that shows how to set these up with maths, but it would really make the synth unstoppable. For now, I'll just manually play with the envelopes. Okay, let's try something out. I've got an idea. First, just detach my scope here and get rid of this mult. Don't need it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take the trigger of the Subharmonicon out and plug that into the trigger input on Maths channel 1. And from out of the end of rise, I've already got it patched, end of rise out of channel 1 into the trigger input of channel 4 of Maths. And, I guess I'll unplug the filter. Do I need a longer cable? No. I'm going to leave that patched, and I'll take the VCAEG out and I'll patch it into the out of channel 4. Now, Maths channel 4 is an envelope generator with its trigger being delayed or offset by channel 1. With rise and fall at 0, there's no delay. Let's plug it into the scope. Now, I'll dial in a delay time by altering the rise of channel 1. And I'll find an envelope shape I like on channel 4. Alright, let's get the Mother back in there. And I'll just keep tweaking until I find something I like. fall on channel 1 in this case will sort of act like gate length. Getting there. And still gotta try to find an envelope shape I like with channel 4. Adjusting the shape of channel 4 towards linear will smooth out and slow down the envelope. Okay, starting to get something cool. Okay, let's turn down the VC mix again. Our random CV is still modulating the VC mix amount. Okay, I think it's starting to come together now. One more idea, something this crazy intervallic sequence from the Mother made me think of. Let's try modulating the pitch of the Mother's VCO with the Maths envelope as well. So patching channel 4 of Maths out to the VCO mod in on the Mother. I can find it, there it is. And switch VCO mod source to external in, oops. Now we're getting some nutty chirps and squeals from the Mother's oscillator. Nice. Alright, effects back on and jam out. Thanks for watching. Hope this cleared up some things and gave you some ideas. Cheers.